Steve, did Steph produce exactly the way you would have predicted, or was it just a matter of
No.
just letting him go out there and see what he could do?
The guys played basically one basketball game in 3 weeks. I expected what I saw early. I expected a lot of rust. I don't think anybody could have predicted the explosion. I figured he'd find his stroke and make a few shots, but I mean that was crazy.
Over here, Steve. When Sean was ejected, I think you were pretty close to that action. Any comment on what happened and what was going through your mind when the point guard, you expected to play a lot of that game was tossed?
Well, it put us in a tough spot, obviously, especially with Steph's comeback, whatever you want to call it. We were expecting to kind of play Steph maybe 25 minutes and just monitor him and see how he held up. And he looked like once he got going, he didn't look tired. There were only maybe 1 or 2 times in the game where he looked tired, and we tried to get him a quick breather. But I was really amazed at his conditioning more than anything.
Steve, Bobby Corso, Rip City Radio. Before the game, any hesitation at all or any doubt going through your mind that Steph was going to be okay or anything like that? Any thoughts like that cross your mind?
No. We talked to our training staff. We trust them, and they told me he was going to be fine. He told me he'd be fine, and so we trusted that.
When Steph starts off 0 for 10 from 3, are you telling him anything? And what do you think got him going where he just went through that flurry?
I think I told him try to go 5 for 6 the rest of the game. Yeah. No, I didn't say anything to him. The only thing I talked to him about before the game was not to try to do too much too early. The Houston game a couple weeks ago when he came back from the ankle injury, he had 5 turnovers in the first half. He looked like he was trying to get it all back at once. So I just talked to Steph about easing his way back in and to take care of the ball. And as far as the shooting, I mean, I'm never going to say anything to him about shooting. He gets to shoot whenever he wants.
Diamond Leon Barry News Group. Steve, the last stretch that Steph had in overtime, did that remind you of any?
Say that again.
Did that remind you of any such performances?
The performance?
Yeah, in the playoffs.
No. I know. I mean, the obvious answer would be Michael Jordan, and Steph does it so differently from Michael. I guess the similarity is just the awe-inspiring plays, the jaw-dropping plays that really bring the house down, even on the road. I remember those noises coming on the road when Michael would have a game like that. But the way Steph does it is totally different from Michael. It's obviously 2 very different players, but that was something.
So can we conclude that you like him better coming off the bench now?
I already announced he'd be starting on Wednesday. I don't think you were here yet, so yeah, he will be. In case you're wondering.
I wasn't.
Steve, how important was turning the defense around? It seemed like the intensity really picked up there in the fourth quarter.
I thought we finally found our defense kind of mid-second quarter, and we were within 2 or 3, and they really closed the quarter strong. That was during the middle of the foul fest, so they pushed it back to 10 at the half. But our defense was great all night. We just weren't getting loose balls and rebounds again, and that's where we have to make improvements on Wednesday. I mean, we're making stops, and we got guys leaking out, and they've got guys crashing the boards. And there were probably 3 plays in the fourth quarter where we made steals or stops, and they poked the ball away from us, from behind. So we've got to do a better job securing the ball. But our defense, for the most part, was really good all night. We just maybe other than the first 5 minutes of the game, but again, you got to complete the possession.
Are you calling any plays in overtime there? Or is it just in Steph's hands and just go get him, Steph?
When Steph would have a game like this last year, Alvin Gentry would say, "I've got 2 plays for you. Steph, get the ball, and get the ball, Steph." Those were Alvin's 2 play calls. So, in Alvin's honor, that's what we ran in overtime.
Steve, that was an extraordinary game to watch. How was it for you as a coach, and talk a little bit about the play that the Blazers had?
You know, there's very few games where you sort of take a moment during the game and say, wow, this is something. And tonight was one of them. You know, I turned to Luke Walton a couple times, said, can you believe this? The Blazers were fantastic. They're tough to guard. We've talked about it, you know, throughout the series. They've got shooting all over the floor. They run great stuff. And you know, their effort was amazing, just like our guys was. So it's just a great basketball game, and obviously, you know, to win makes it greater for us than it was for them. But it was, you know, phenomenal game, and I don't know what else I can say.
Steve, Jeff Su from Mount Fire. Could you talk about the last 2 plays for the regular time, especially the Harrison's the biggest shot of the game?
In regulation?
Yeah.
You're talking about Harrison's shot? Yeah. That was, you know, that's going to get lost in the shuffle. But, you know, Harrison hadn't played much in the 4th quarter, and we put him in for Bogut. And that was a huge shot, tied the game, and helped us get to overtime. So it was, you know, the reason to put him in for Bogut at that point is just to spread the floor, just like Portland does with all their guards. So we just got spacing, and we got a nice pass from Steph.
So do you draw that play, or just it's a decision of Steph? Do you draw that play?
Well, I mean, it started out as a play that we ran, and then it becomes, you know, read and react, and Steph made a great read, and obviously Harrison hit a huge shot.